In 2004, Jon Stewart became an unexpectedly serious part of the political process when John Edwards announced his candidacy for president on The Daily Show. This and the botched Kerry interview opened Stewart up to the criticism that he was too far to the left.
I wouldn't describe it as a liberal bias, it's more of a liberal viewpoint. And part of the liberal viewpoint is that they actually attack liberal politicians at times far more ferociously than they will right-wing politicians.
You know, he said he was a bit of a lefty. He was raised in a northeastern environment. You know, he went to college on the East Coast, so that kind of bias does shine through in a certain way. But at the same time, the show is not really about left or right. It's not really about boosting the left at the expense of the right. It's really about making fun of the entire process.
The fact that more jokes are made now about conservatives and about Republicans is, I think, largely a function of the fact that Republicans hold the White House and have been in power for the last 7 years.
Bush is like Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, you know, wrapped into one for comedians and political satirists. I mean, Bush is a gold mine. And I don't have any problem with that at all, and I think a lot of their shots at Bush are totally fair, and some of them are really funny.
Jon may or may not try to stay in the center on his nightly program, but in 2005, he signed on to executive produce a Daily Show spin-off that is anything but fair and balanced.
The Colbert Report is really interesting because it was birthed by The Daily Show, but it's like someone giving birth to a full-grown person. It's all very weird, and also one who's almost diametrically opposite to the father in this case, which makes it even weirder. I mean, Stewart basically plays himself on The Daily Show, essentially, whereas Colbert plays a character.
Every night on my show, The Colbert Report, I speak straight from the gut, okay? I give people the truth unfiltered by rational argument. I call it the no-fact zone. Fox News, I hold a copyright on that term.
He's spoofing O'Reilly, and he's spoofing Hannity and Combs and all those those right-wing opinion shows. So the irony on the Colbert Report is really thick and pretty relentless, whereas The Daily Show is a little bit more straight.
One of the things that's been so great about The Daily Show and Jon Stewart is he's a talent spotter, and he now has this natural feed. In creating the Colbert Report, you have this feeling that there's kind of this fake network growing.
Growing and branching out, Jon and company left current events behind and rewrote History with America, the book.
It was like a mock high school textbook that the writers of The Daily Show had produced. American history, how a bill becomes a law, all that stuff told through the prism of very sardonic, very ironic Daily Show humor. That book was hysterical. I know that if I had had America the book, you know, in my American history class in 9th or 10th grade, I probably would have learned just as much and had a lot more fun doing it.
Jon's brand of humor was expanding its reach throughout pop culture, and his popularity was at an all-time high in 2006. However, many observers were surprised when Stewart was picked to host the 78th Annual Oscar Awards, a broadcast seen around the world by millions of people.
People who hosted the Academy Awards years before Jon Stewart were people like Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, Johnny Carson, people who the whole country embraced, who were pretty safe. You knew that they weren't going to say anything too controversial, that they weren't going to get political.
I will say this will probably be the most controversial Oscars ever in the history, and I wouldn't be surprised to see, I don't want to say street violence afterwards, but certainly unrest.
You know, he's such a great performer, but what makes it so hard in front of that audience is that when you have an audience of performers, it's almost like, prove it to me, make me laugh. And that's kind of the hardest thing to ever do. So doing the Oscars is a really hard gig.
When you're basically dealing with a group that 80% of the people here are walking home empty-handed. Right. So you want to hopefully make sure that when that night is over, they don't feel like they just wasted 12 hours.
I actually didn't think it was such a bad job, but the popular opinion was that he had sort of bombed.
Jon will have The Daily Show for at least one more election, and many in the media are looking forward to his 2008 coverage. At the same time, some are asking if Stewart will be as effective when he no longer has Bush to push around.
I mean, that'll be the acid test. right there. Will he be able to tool on Hillary Clinton? And no, of course not.
I think all of our elected officials are a plethora of wonderful comedic material that is inexhaustible. Honestly, it's like a cornucopia of stupidity. That we will never run out of stupidity as long as there is Congress.
Politics aside, Jon's goal throughout has been to make people laugh. And as long as there is news, Stewart will continue to work hard to be funny daily.
And how fortunate is he that he's actually able to make his whole life just by saying and what it is that he thinks of, and people love to hear it and people respond to it, and it's smart and it's unique. And that's got to be the greatest kind of feeling of all. Much more satisfying than the fact that he's famous, I think.
I can't believe how lucky I am already, and it's not even in the sense of, aw shucks, geez, I've worked really hard, and I've tried to get better and continue to.
A body is not a body. It is a crime scene. It is an unthinkable act. It is a puzzle waiting to be solved. Dead Men Talking, Saturdays at 10, only on Bio.